Wednesday means Owasso Rams here on the Rick Corey Sports Special. This is sponsored by Tulsa Accident Care Center, and you see Bill Blankenship, who should be happy after a 42-8 win over Edmond Santa Fe. It's a team we talked about going in that had its struggles, but had some individual pieces, which you've obviously kept in place. More impressively for me, 13 of 19 from Frankenfield. I mean, the kid just keeps getting better.
Uh, Not just that, Rick, but Drew is, I'm sure people roll their eyes a little bit, but in terms of just managing our offense, we ask a lot of him. We do a lot of run pass option plays where you're blocking a run play in the middle and you've got some outside passing possibilities depending on how the defense reacts. And he is getting on such a good page with Josh as far as our OC. And so the plays get called, and Josh is on the headset going, "Well, I bet he does. He ought to do that." And boy, it just bang, bang, bang. And he makes a couple of mistakes just in the throws, but man, is he being efficient with what he's done.
And when you start talking about run pass options, I think people hear the RPO so much these days, they don't realize Era Parsegian was doing this in
Yeah,
'66,
right.
right? And in that Notre Dame game against Michigan State, yeah, that's that one there. And then it's been evolving since that time. Describe what a real true RPO is for a quarterback. You played the position. What all are
Yeah.
you looking at? What are you reading? What are his responsibilities?
Well, defenses are it's really a math problem, Rick. I mean, we're always talking about how many defensive hats can they put in the box, um, and to try to gain an advantage on the blockers. And so, what you're asking a quarterback to do is to be the extra blocker by if they've got one too many in the box, then there should be something built that we ought to take advantage of it in a throw. Um, I think it's really important that when we talk about it, it's a little different than others. It's not just every pass is not a run pass option, and not every run is. But a lot of times you're going to see us get in opportunity to throw, and sometimes it's a slant route to Julius behind the defense when the safety fits. Sometimes it's a just a little spot route over to the slot receiver because the outside linebacker is trying to join the box and get an extra head in there. So when you gang up inside to stop Jaden Hall and the offensive line, then hopefully we get some balls outside. If you're saying we got to try to shut down the passing game, then we call it a light box. Then there ought to be enough blockers for all of the defenders. And if we do a good job, we get positive runs.
And the thing is, he's got to make these reads not only before snap, but after snap, because
Yeah, a lot
defenses
of
will
times
jump
they
around
are.
and change a lot of things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, defensive coaches get to coach also, and defensive players get to react also. So it's not always a one-way street by any stretch. But defenses are always trying to say, all right, where do they get their extra guy in? Was it going to be a safety and a linebacker, somebody that's trying to present to you that he's in coverage? And then when you get your hands up or you make the clap or whatever's in vogue today, then here they come. And so can you catch a snap? Can you have seen this in your peripheral enough to then turn and get the ball out? And, sometimes defense wins and sometimes offense does. But the better our quarterback plays, the better we do all across the board.
And then you also have to remember in all this, and we're talking about inside stuff, that outside guy's got to be in tune because he's got to
Yeah,
either be in the right route. How many times we see an interception, everybody blames the quarterback. It's the dude who
right.
didn't run the route. That guy's got to know too. And
Yeah.
you've been very fortunate. Some of your outside guys have really grown.
Yes, absolutely. And we're in a, I tell our coaches this all the time. I mean, this is just a special year. Don't think this happens all the time. Some of the young coaches on our staff, uh, not all always the talent, but also, Rick, these are just guys and kids that are, I mean, they're easy to coach. They're fun to coach. These are guys that are all bought in. They're just all in, and they just want you to do what you can do to help them be good.
And they've done that really well. As a matter of fact, when I look at teams, I mean, Bixby's obviously really good. They had a tough one against Mustang. I see a lot of growth out of Jinx, and I see a lot of growth out of Owasso and Broken Arrow. All those teams are getting better. I think Union's getting better, although I don't think they're as
Yep.
talented as everybody else. But I've seen, I think, more growth personally as I've just watched between your team and the Jinx team. When you
Mhm.
watch your guys, where do you think they've grown most?
Well, I think our physicality, the offensive line has gotten to be a really, and I say this with great love, a nasty group. This is they can get in a grinded out, messy, ugly, um, rough and tough kind of game that O linemen, really like.
Yep.
Um, it's interesting because most of those guys on this unit here last year graduated. We had Brooks back, Brooks Barron was a starter last year. And then Elon Reagan has been a unique player for us because he was the extra lineman last year as a sophomore when they wanted to move some of their big tackles to tight end and all that stuff. So we were playing with a lot of new guys, three and four new linemen. Didn't mean they were not good linemen. It was just they're not the experienced guys we had been blessed with. And they've grown and they've allowed us to be better. We had all the receivers and quarterbacks and running back, but now to be able to actually run the ball, to get into some heavy personnel groups, we're doing a lot of the same stuff they were doing a year ago with the college recruitable tackles. We're getting some of that same running game in now, but a lot of depth outside at receiver. I think
Somehow we've gotten
defensively,
through 8 weeks of high school football.
yeah,
We're about to be to week 9 and 10. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to remind you why we are sponsored by Tulsa Accident
good.
Care Center because Jared Gallagher, who's our buddy, did something really smart. One day he got tired of going place to place to place to place after a car accident for his physical needs. And they thought, well, why can't we put this in one place? I mean, there's a reason Quick Trip and Walmart are popular because you can go there conveniently and get most things in one place. You want a hose and a tire, you can do that, right? Well, if you go to Tulsa Accident Tire Care Center, you're not going to get that, but what you will get is PT, physical therapy after a car accident, your doctor, your medicines, your prescriptions, your imaging, all in one place. You don't have to drive all over town. Need blood work, it's done there. And you don't have to have any out of pocket cost. You just walk right in the door and they're going to take care of you. That's what they do. It's after car accidents. It's specific for that. And they're in 3 locations, Owasso, Broken Arrow, and Tulsa. So while we don't want you to have one with the holiday seasons coming up and the crowds that are going to be in all of our streets and around our malls, if it does unfortunately happen, then you call Tulsa Accident Care Center. One place does everything for you. It's 888-8080. Very, very simple to do. All right, I mentioned we're already to week 9, which is mind blowing. The weather is telling you that though. And
Yeah.
it's a little chilly when you first walk out, but the kids love it, don't they? Because once they get rolling, it's good.
Oh, absolutely. We've had very energetic practices the last 2 days. Expect that to happen again. Um, they are. There's playoffs are in the air, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just start getting to this time of year and the temperature change, and guys absolutely love it.
All right, now you got Norman North coming up, who's been, boy, they've been all over the place. They
Yeah.
were really good early. They got blown out by a couple of teams lately, but there are a couple of dudes on that team they're going to
Uh,
play in college, and they've got some dangerous people. When you see it, when you look at them, what do you see?
exactly what you're saying. Offensively, they've been lighting it up, and then they have not played quite as well when they've gotten behind early from some
Mhm.
teams in the last couple of weeks. But Ben Kolar, who is a little brother of Charlie Kolar that's playing in the league, is as good a tight end as I've seen anywhere at any time this year. He's dynamic. Mason James at wide receiver. There's a reason he's been recruited by everybody in the country. He is dynamic. The other, it's what's fascinating. I was showing some of our uh, parents and booster clubs at our breakfast the other unknown receivers, and I say that in quotation marks,
Right.
are really good.
Mhm.
And so they've got a lot of talent. Um, the defense has not played as well, but their offense has played really well for the most part. They've got a new quarterback, and he's struggled at times. He's not quite what they were used to, but they have been really really dynamic. And so we've got a big challenge. Thankfully, our defense has been playing better, but they will see their biggest challenge that we've had in several weeks.
And those kinds of teams at this time of the year are your biggest nightmare
Yeah.
because on paper it says one thing, and I hate that anyway.
Right.
But you know, at any given moment, those guys can make you look bad, and it's scary, isn't it?
Well, if you go back to look at last year's game with Norman North and Union over there, it was a 50 something to 40 something. I mean, went to the last possession. It was a kind of arena football that broke out.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what you do. You're a little afraid of that happening again because they're more than capable. So I think Coach Neal and the defensive staff and players are going to be very well prepared. But by the same token, man, this is you got to tip your hat. They do a great job over there at Norman North.
How in the world, because as you said, playoffs are in the air, and you're right. How do you keep the kids kind of even keeled, even natured, knowing that yeah, the playoffs are in the air, but you've got to focus on right now, or you're not going to have the seeding you want.
Right. Well, I think it's two things. One is we've said this for weeks. It's not just unique to Norman North or Santa Fe, but and it's one of those tongue-in-cheek questions I'll ask them. I said, "Hey, you guys know who we're playing this week?" And somebody will say Norman. I said, "No, we're playing the Owasso Rams. We're all about it's a race." And it's funny you brought up Bigsby and Jinx and BA and those other teams. 5 weeks ago, I told our guys it is a race to see who can improve the most
Mhm.
to playoffs. I've just done it long enough and been part of teams that won the first game, lost the first game, 1-2, 2-1. Same kind of deal that we've got in this book, but it is going to be an opportunity if we play well that you can earn your way back to those guys. And the whole question is, and they're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs either,
Right.
but who is going to improve the most? I Rick, you lived through it, but the games we used to have at Union and Jinx, and with Alan Trimble and the staff there, it was just never the same game at the end of the year that it was at the beginning. And like I said, some years, and it was rare, but some years it was the same team that won. That wasn't the point, but it's just the growth and the injury bug and the all the things that can happen. But we are growing fast. We're growing tough, and we're in a good place right now.
Yeah, sometimes a team or a guy just catches fire too, and
Yeah.
and and suddenly here we go. Here's a philosophical question before we close. I'm going back because again, you and I have a deep history to the Blake and Bear and Spencer and Spav team. They were so good and they were so businesslike, but they were so good early. Now they grew, of course, but they were
Uh-huh.
really good early, and everybody knew that. When you're that good early, does it worry you that you won't grow during a season? Do you sometimes like to see a team that maybe needs a little more growth? I mean, that sounds silly, but it's an
No.
interesting philosophical question.
Yeah, it's really a good question, and I actually one of the things I love about YouTube and social media and all that is you can find clips from coaches all the time. And there was a great clip from Ryan Day um, calling out some of his guys after a win for doing some things that'll get you beat. And his point was too often when we win, we will overlook those little small things that need to be corrected because we won. And well, you've got to be diligent about it. So it's a whole lot harder to grow if all you've done is win, but you can do it if you have the right culture. I think that's what Bixby has done really well
Hmm.
in the last several years is they have a culture that they're going to keep growing and they're going to keep chasing and they're going to do that because they haven't had a lot of bad experiences early in the season. Um, and so whether you win or whether you lose, that you have to go make those corrections and you have to keep getting better. And I think we've sold our players on that and they've bought into it.
That's a it's a it's an interesting question. It's an interesting way to approach it, but it is what we're living with right about now. And I got to tell you, and I've said this to all the guys I've talked to this week, I'm really excited about these playoffs. I
Yeah.
realize what we were looking at, and there are a couple of teams that are upset minded. There are a couple of teams that are really good, a couple of teams that have grown a lot. Man, I'm excited about it. I'm going to be as many of these as I can be.
Well, and that's what it boils down to. This game, we can clinch a district championship and the home playoff spot in the bracket and all those kind of things. So we have a lot of practical things to play for. And so we're going to get after it. And I think our guys, it is senior night. We're going to celebrate our 33 seniors or so. But thankfully, they've already earned another game at home. So that's
Yeah,
what I've told them. We don't have to get all in our feelings, on this week. Let's get ready to go.
absolutely. Well, stay warm. Hope you get some chili or something good to keep you warm out there. And
Absolutely.
let's get on to next week. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you, my friend.